All right, PunPun, I'm about to record your series review, so you already know what to do. You already know the dip because, I like to do my thug nizzle when I'm by myself and I'm about to record, so you go ahead and dip. PunPun, you know how I am. Just go already. Just for real, go. You getting on my nerves a little bit. PunPun, just because you change your appearance, I don't want you to stay in here. You could go, like I said. My bad for the tone, big bro. I'm gonna let you stay. In fact, here you can have my seat right here. What's up, you guys? Chase the Dark Sage here, back with another video. In today's video, we're actually going to be talking about Goodnight PunPun. Yes, a series that I never thought I was going to read because every time I saw the front cover and once I knew the premise of him looking like what he looks like on that front cover throughout the whole series, I always thought to myself, why would I read a series about a bird looking thing? You get what I'm saying? And honestly, that's one of the things that actually kept me from reading Goodnight PunPun. I thought it was a bit too serious. Everybody says that it was super depressing. No one actually gave me good reasons to actually read this series here. But one day while I was on stream, my boy PK said, you know what? Yo, I gotta get you this series. You gonna check it out if I buy it for you. And I was like, all right, I'll check it out if you buy it for me. He bought me 2 volumes of Goodnight PunPun. And once I read those 2 volumes, I was hooked. I'm not gonna lie, I was hooked. I was really hooked on this bird-like looking thing. So in today's video, we're actually gonna be talking about PunPun. Whether I think it's really overhyped or not, I kind of think it's a bit overhyped compared to what everybody thinks it is. But nonetheless, I do think it's a great series. And this review will have no spoilers in it. So if you're worried about spoilers, don't worry. I don't spoil anything in this review for you. So this is watchable to everybody. But before we actually get into the review and before I actually talk about my thoughts about PunPun, this very depressing series, go ahead, like the video, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and follow me on all my other social media platforms. All my links will be in the description down below. So, let's go ahead and get into Goodnight PunPun. But as usual, when it comes to these reviews, I will have everything timestamped down below. So whether you want to hear about the plot or my pros or my cons or my final verdict, you go ahead and skip to any of those parts. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the story of Goodnight PunPun. This series is about the life of PunPun Onodera. This coming of age story is a character study going over all the multiple parts of PunPun's life where he goes through major change and adversity. PunPun is a very unlucky person and can show how previous life experiences can shape you into the person you are today, from carrying insecurities, a lack of understanding, or just being neglected. Goodnight PunPun is a very sad story showing what mental health issues and traumatic events could do to a person and their psyche. Now let's go ahead and talk about PunPun since the story mostly follows him. PunPun Onodera is our central bird-like looking character. PunPun is a character that goes through many mental issues, doesn't have the greatest upbringing, nor the most positive environment surrounding his home life. He's also really terrible at actually explaining himself or telling people what's on his mind as well. I really like the character of PunPun. He's definitely unique and a standout compared to the stuff I read, and there's just this feeling that you have as a reader to connect heavily with him that I love is illustrated all throughout. But since we are talking about something I like, let's talk about the things I loved with this manga. First pro, the story. The story following PunPun's life is fantastically done. Everything is grounded in realism and doesn't seem outlandish given the circumstances and characterization, which is another pro, of many characters surrounding PunPun. Another pro I have is some of the themes that are actually tackled in this manga, like other people's perspective and philosophy, depression, finding purpose, and relationships. Just stuff that we can all relate to. Next pro goes without being said, but the artwork. Now, I would show you some, but Shueisha is some butt wipes about that, but trust me, These background scenes are gorgeous and the characters also look great and are very expressive. Another pro that I had was the change of pace and tone between each phase of PunPun's life. Each part gives you a different tone, feel, and atmosphere, which I loved. We never stay on one part too long to where it got monotonous. It definitely gives me the same vibes I got from 2016's Moonlight, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And my last pro has to be on the character of PunPun himself. Inio Asano does a perfect job of crafting the character of PunPun, from his expressions to his interactions with others. Asano has this masterful way of showing how PunPun feels inside by reflecting it into his character look / design, which changes throughout the whole story. This gives me the feeling that even though we all look alike and might not show how we feel on the outside, it doesn't mean that we're not going through something. And it's subtly but overtly shown to you through PunPun's look changes. I was really rocking with this. All right, look, I've rode this manga's glizzy enough, and while I do love the manga, I do just have one issue about it and a minor nitpick, so let's go ahead and get into that. My major issue has to be with the story itself having the secondary storyline happening outside of PunPun's main story. The story with Seki, Shimizu, and Toshiki felt very unneeded in my initial reading. The story didn't pan out to do much and gives me vibes from the monkey scene in Jordan Peele's Note. I'm pretty sure Inio Asano intends for this to have some deeper meaning that I don't get, but comes off as unneeded and could have cut the manga a bit shorter overall without hurting the main narrative. And for my nitpick, I didn't really like the way the story ended. Without going into too much detail, from what the manga presents and what we go through, I felt like the ending was a bit of a misdirection from what we expect instead of what was earned. This is nothing major and doesn't take away from the story because I believe the ending is fine, but I felt it would have been more powerful if it went into the direction I thought it was leading to. But overall, PunPun was something very different from what I usually read. The unique approach Inio Asano takes with actually crafting the character of PunPun, expressing him in certain ways, creating his dialogue uniquely compared to other characters by putting his own speech bubbles into panels is brilliantly done. The characters surrounding PunPun is good, and the ups and downs we have with PunPun is well executed as well. If we could cut out the secondary storyline that I don't understand at the time of me recording this video, this would have cut the manga down and made it an even greater experience for me. This is a series that definitely warrants a reread, and with it only coming to 147 chapters, is definitely something to check out. The depression is overhyped, and so am I. So I'm gonna have to give PunPun, after my first read through of it, an 8 out of 10. But that's about it for today's video. I'd like to say thank you guys for watching, and if you are new to the channel and you haven't already, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, post notification bell, that way you'll be notified whenever I come out with a new video, and like the video if you haven't already. And I gotta give a huge shout out to my Patreon pledgers for going ahead financially supporting the channel. Guys, I highly appreciate what you guys are doing for me, financially donating on Patreon. And I gotta give a huge shout out to the YouTube members for also financially donating on the YouTube side of things as well. Big shout out to Broke Boy Gang as always, because these are the people coming through to the videos, supporting, liking, and making sure to help boost your boy within the YouTube algorithm. And let me know what your thoughts are on PunPun down below. I know this is a very depressing series. I know everybody has their takes on it, and generally the reception I've seen online is pretty positive, so let me know what you thought about PunPun if you have read it, or what you've heard about PunPun if you've heard of it. Thank you guys for watching. Dark Sage out. Peace.